Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. I will do my best to keep track of the chat while we're talking, and you should all be able to see my slides as well. But I'm just curious, we're talking today about teacher impact, how to have your voice heard. My name is Abby Hess. I'm the Market Development Manager at GW Publisher. And in market development, my team's working alongside our editorial teams and our digital production teams to connect with educators before new titles publish to make sure that we understand the needs of your course. So for everything that we develop, whether we're revising current editions or making brand new activities or new editions, our authors and editorial team need to validate our plans and ideas with current educators like you. So in the short time that we have today, this is just a half an hour, we're going to quickly walk through the kinds of opportunities we offer for educators to have a voice in their future curriculum and the digital solutions we put on the market. One of the major benefits of engaging with your publisher early in the process is that you also get insight into the expected changes we're making to your curriculum, but also changes in industry, in certification requirements and national standards that our experts are researching as they're revising content. So by joining this call today, you'll also get a sneak peek into some forthcoming first edition products that we're going to be launching this fall. And now I'm just curious, has anyone on the call ever been a reviewer for GW in the past? Have you ever reviewed any of our content or digital products before it's published? See, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Oh, there we go. Jerry has. Thank you so much. Andrea's contributed to a textbook. Thank you. Thank you. Yep, Tracy. So we've got some people who have some experience here. So if you want to share with others as we're discussing what that experience was like, that'd be great. We're going to talk about opportunities for reviewing the content in the textbooks, but also some other opportunities that we have as well. Has anyone on the call maybe not been a reviewer for GW, but has been a reviewer for another textbook publisher or a different publishing company? Sometimes we hear that too. Maybe you're interested in the opportunities that we have. Let us know in the chat if you did. We're going to move forward. Yep, Brian's reviewed for someone before. That's awesome. So the first opportunity we have for every revision of every product are content reviewers who will provide feedback on our textbook content. We love meeting with our reviewers in person at conferences, sometimes with their students, and sometimes with their GW consultant, like you can see there with Brad Blankenship in Texas. So if you come to our booth and you've been a reviewer and you see our booth at one of our conferences, please stop by. Let us take a picture of you with the book that you reviewed. We love doing that. So what is a content review? For those of you who maybe haven't been part of the review process in the past, every product that we create is informed by educators who teach the course that it's designed for. So for first edition textbooks that are coming out for the very first time, like Animal Science, which came out last year, that kind of project requires many reviewers because all of the content is brand new. Even before the authors of that textbook are starting their work on really building each chapter, we need to reach out to educators for their feedback on a proposed table of contents. We need to know, does the plan for the order of the content and the content we're going to cover meet the standards that you need to meet as teachers for that course? Does the organization make sense and flow well? And then we also have to search for feedback on the author's ideas in prospectus for the book. So any themes or goals of the text, as well as feedback on proposing any reoccurring features or activities that you might find in every chapter. At this stage, it often includes the reviewers will see a sample chapter. So this is not laid out in any design. You might see a few images or graphics or understand, a description of some visuals that we want, but it's a rough draft, right? So that's usually what we might send out, as well as a table of contents. Now, when reviewers are looking at that first draft sample chapter, we want to make sure that the reading level is right for the age and of the students who would be using the course, and that the writing style is appropriate, but also engaging for the learner, right? So the author will start writing after we do those first initial reviews, and then as they turn in draft chapters, each chapter has to be reviewed in a first edition. So we'll look for teachers or industry professionals who are experts in those particular topics. So for example, in Animal Science, We look for teachers who have more experience with poultry to review the poultry chapters. Whereas when we have cattle chapters, we want to make sure that they're teachers who maybe cattle is part of their program, and they'd be the people who review those chapters. And then additional reviews for both first editions and revised titles may come up later in the process if we realize that there's a large amount of changes being made to content that was already reviewed. So if we had a certain plan for a chapter, we got that reviewed, and then throughout that process, it really changed, we decided to make a lot of changes. We might do another review and sometimes ask reviewers who began the project to relook at that updated content and validate that the concerns that they had earlier in the process are being met. And so at this stage, we may even look for feedback on the interior design, on teacher supplements and teacher resources, as well as the text. And now for titles that are being revised, like this automotive book, it was in its 6th edition that came out last year. Our first step is to hold pre-revision reviews. So when we're revising a new title, we ask reviewers to look at the current edition and tell us what content needs updated or might be missing from that text. And depending on changes that might be happening in the industry or with standards, or even changes to how that course is being taught, it's crucial that we know what our authors should prioritize and what they should focus on in a revision. These reviews are then compiled and given to the author anonymously to incorporate into their revision plan. And I'm just going to make sure that I can see the chat here in case anyone has any questions. Okay, I don't see any. If you got any questions or something's pinging your interest, feel free to let me know in the chat. I will do my best to answer that. Okay. So any teacher who tells us that they might be interested in being a reviewer basically would be emailed once there is a review opportunity for the preferred subject area that they told us they're an expert in. If you want to let us know that you're interested in being a reviewer, there's no commitment that you have to review for us or that you have to do it at a certain time. You're basically telling us that you're interested in reviewing and would like to know about opportunities as they come up. When our editors do have a review opportunity, they would let you know the expected amount of time a review may take before you say yes. And educators who complete a review for us will have their name, their title, and their school printed in the front matter of our textbook and within the online textbook. Once a new edition publishes that the reviewers gave feedback on, we also mail reviewers a print hard copy of their textbook. So reviewers will also receive an honorarium for the time that it took them to complete the review. Depending on the expected length or detail we're requiring of that review, the honorarium would increase. So what makes a great reviewer? On the screen, you can see Amanda Clark, who was actually such a fabulous reviewer that we ended up asking her to work as a co-author to help update the last edition of Video, Digital Communication and Production. So sometimes if our reviewers are really excellent, giving us tons of detail, we might reach out and see, if you're also interested in being a subject matter expert or contributing to that text. While it was students who actually asked us for a new feature in the ASE automotive series that came out last year called Shop Talk. And that feature explains the why behind the need for the content that students are learning in each chapter. And it's written in a conversational manner. These are things that students told us that they really wanted. If they're going to spend time digging through a chapter, they want to know, why is this going to affect them, and have it in that kind of conversational tone. So that was added from student feedback. Whether it was those students or Amanda Clark, the best reviewers are honest. So we're always going to ask questions like, what are the main challenges in your course? We're also going to want to know if the content that we show you isn't appropriate or isn't interesting enough, or is it important enough to help you meet the outcomes of the course? There's no hard feelings when we're trying to create the best possible products. Like I mentioned, when our authors see reviews, they are anonymous. So we really want to know, what you think. Great reviewers are also detailed. We love reviewers who go on to tell us why they like something or didn't like something that they saw in a review. Any information that you could share on how you might use something in class or how you think your students would react to it is extremely helpful to our editorial team and our authors. The more detail we receive, the better we can ensure that your comments will impact the final product. And also very important, reviewers who can keep coming back to us are responsive. We know that educators are extremely busy. Thank you so much for joining today and giving us a half an hour here to listen in. And reviewing is really done in the little bit of free time that you might have. But our reviews also have to be done efficiently and within enough time so that the crucial feedback we're getting is going to get to our authors and our digital teams with enough time to make focused changes in the content or features of that product. Publishing timelines can be extremely tight. And so to make sure that our products publish in time for the next school year so that reviewers respond to our emails quickly, even if a response is just saying that you can't accept a review opportunity, that's greatly appreciated and makes it even more likely that we would approach you with a few other opportunities in the future. I'm just going to see if there were any questions. No questions yet. Okay. So what other opportunities are there besides maybe being a content reviewer? We talked about that a little bit. You know, you might see content in draft form. You might be looking at a current edition as it currently exists, which would be in its full design, right? Other opportunities, we have some for longer term projects, include advisory boards, which help our authors and editors understand discipline level needs and changes that are going on. So advisory boards meet several times a year, either virtually or at in-person industry events, if we can do that. Members of advisory boards may be educators as well as industry professionals or GW partners. These conversations allow us to listen in to peer discussions so we can gain feedback on prototypes or ideas for products, as well as stay up to date on changes that might be affecting how and what you teach. Similar to advisory boards, focus groups are either virtual or in-person group discussions where we can gauge instructor reactions and feedback to digital prototypes. So this screenshot you see is actually from a recent focus group we had on a digital platform for a forthcoming online course for accounting. And unlike advisory boards, which meet multiple times a year, talking more about a course discipline, focus groups are one-time events to gain specific feedback on questions we have around platform settings, course organization, activity types, or even gradebook settings. And in these focus groups, we like to hear from teachers who may already be using competitive digital products. So maybe you're using a digital solution in this course and it's from a different company, as well as teachers who are already using our online textbooks, or even teachers who maybe haven't used digital products yet, but are interested in doing so. We want to be able to hear from all of those kinds of people. Another option is a digital reviewer. So like focus groups, digital reviewers help us improve future digital products and platforms, but also current digital products that are in use today. Digital reviewers may meet one-on-one with our digital product manager, Xin Lin, to provide specific feedback on how you're using technology in the classroom. That could be how you're using a GW online product, how you're using your learning management system like Canvas or Schoology or Google Classroom, or just time to share any issues that you might be having or wishes that you have for digital functionality. So digital reviewers may also choose to class test new or forthcoming digital products with their students. And when we can have people actually practice using newer digital products with students, that's when we really discover, how can we improve that experience for the student? How can we improve the training resources we have? And how can we improve the instructions that we offer and make sure that they're easy to use? So did any of these roles that we just talked about sound interesting to you? Maybe some of you have been a textbook reviewer in the past, but you didn't know that there's some opportunities to talk a little bit more about digital, and you use digital in the classroom. Maybe you're interested in joining an advisory board. Remember that all of these opportunities we talked about, we do pay teachers for their time. So if you've been searching far and wide for a textbook to meet your needs for a course and you just haven't found one, maybe you should be a content reviewer and let us know what you're looking for. Or maybe you do use one of our GW textbooks today, and you want to make sure that the future editions of that textbook retain your favorite features and tools and information. That's also a great reason to become a content reviewer. Maybe you're a thought leader and you want to join a discussion with your peers, then you could join an advisory board. Or maybe you'd like to see the newest digital features that are coming soon and provide feedback on how to use those in the classroom. Then you could join a focus group or even become a digital reviewer. You can let us know if you're interested in any of the opportunities we talked today, or if you're interested in becoming a subject matter expert or learning more about what it might be like to be an author. Any of those things by going to the QR code on the screen or navigating to the URL that we have below. I'm going to put this in the chat. That's a quick bit.ly link. So that will take you to our page where you can let us know if you're interested in being a reviewer or any of these other opportunities. You can give us a little information about when you might be likely to have more free time. So feel free to navigate there after this call or during if you want, if you're excited about helping us out. So maybe you join this call or are intrigued by being a reviewer because you want to get early sneak peeks and see a glimpse at forthcoming first editions. So we've talked for about 15 minutes. The next few minutes, we're going to share some of that. So you're in luck if you're interested in a sneak peek. We're going to switch to this side of the presentation now. Again, if you had any questions about the review process or engaging with us, feel free to add those to the chat and I'll do my best to answer those as well. But we're going to talk a little bit about some first editions that are coming out next fall. So first of all, I am so happy to work for a publisher that does produce first editions, and we have a lot of first editions coming out over the next few years. We really are trying to expand our offerings to meet the needs for emerging courses and make sure that our content is up to date and really aligned to the courses that you're teaching, whether that's in health education, in the career clusters, or in post-secondary and in college. So the first area where we're going to have a first brand new edition coming out next year is in the human services cluster or the people-centered careers. And so I'm going to ask you, you can see on the screen, we talked about how we do reviews, and we definitely need a lot of reviewers when we have a first edition. When we did reviews for this one we're about to talk about, reviewers stated these three things as the main challenges for their course area. So put in the chat if you can guess what course we're talking about. One of the main challenges was finding guidance on how to address difficult or controversial topics, right? There's probably a lot of courses where we have that need today. I have someone saying principles of human services. That's a good guess. Keep putting your guesses in here. Another one was how to engage students so that they start applying theory that they're learning in the textbook to their personal lives. This one could probably apply to almost anything, right? They're learning important content that we need to test their knowledge on, but we want them to take that a step further and apply that to their career plan or their personal lives. We've got someone else saying poli-sci. That's a good option as well. But the third thing was that there's no textbook for this course. A lot of reviewers told us that. Any other guesses now that you know that there aren't any other textbooks really out there for that area? The course that we're talking about here is mental health counseling. And mental health counseling specifically for really high school students or very foundational human services courses at the community college level. Counseling and mental health services coming out next fall is the first ever textbook that's for behavioral health at a very introductory level. This title focuses on introducing students to careers in mental health, which there's a huge shortage in mental health professionals and social work professionals and counseling professionals, and a real huge need for it in our country, right? So this title focuses on introducing students to those careers, as well as related careers where knowledge of psychology, interpersonal skills will aid in job success. So this book will take an inward to outward approach. It's designed to guide students as they first understand mental health concepts through self-reflection and they'll actually do a lot of personal journal prompts before moving on to topics like relationships, brain science, and how those can be applied to careers and career skills. If you're interested in receiving a sample of counseling and mental health services, you can either scan the QR code that is on the screen, or there is another URL, which I will put in the chat for you, if you're interested in learning more about this text. So we've got another first edition coming out. This one is in the health sciences cluster. We're going to play the little game again. What was it that reviewers said were the main challenges for these courses, and see if you guys can guess. So this one might be a little bit more clear from the challenges. A particular challenge here was finding clinical partner sites for students to visit. Another was just a lack of time to review foundational knowledge and skills that students really should have gotten in their earlier courses, but are really crucial to applying them in this course, right? Providing a class experience for students who miss clinical site visits, and grading students objectively and consistently in a work-based setting. So you might be able to tell we're talking a little bit about something that has to do with work-based learning or externship, where students are going to go to a clinical site. And that course is the last one that students would take in a health science pathway. It might be called Health Science Practicum or Clinical Rotations. The forthcoming clinical and employability skills for health professions is a digital resource that provides instructors with practical guidance and sample forms, rubrics, lessons, schedules, bell ringers, and more. Students will access modules to help them review the foundational knowledge they need from their prior health science courses to prepare for an off-site clinical experience. Station labs, preclinical worksheets, and projects will offer flexibility to engage students either while they're in class or while they're at a work site. Does anyone here teach anything where you're preparing students for an externship or work-based learning? There's a lot, if you're starting that program for the first time, that you have to create and organize as a teacher, but you have to be super, super flexible, right? To be able to have a lot of content for students when they're in class and prepare them for that experience when they're out of class. So this is a pretty unique digital product that will help students do that. We've got the QR code if you're interested and want to see a preview of that. Or if you want to download a soft skills activity that really could be helpful for many different disciplines. You can scan this QR code here. We actually have an example activity of one of the kinds of things that would be part of this course called the Soft Skills Station Lab. Station labs set up hands-on teamwork activities across multiple tables in your classroom. Each station takes 10 to 15 minutes. And this particular lab that you can download includes activities for students to practice interviewing skills, to practice what not to do in a job interview, to practice taking a professional phone message, and also to write professional thank you notes. So you can scan this QR code if you're interested in downloading this activity to use in class. That QR code also leads you to, there'll be a big button on that activity where you can click that to request a free preview of this online course once it comes out. And I'm going to put the link for that. That would help you download this Soft Skills Station Lab activity and lead you to where you can request a sample from that one link. Now, we've got one more first edition that's coming out next year. And this one is from the Architecture and Construction Career Cluster. Are there any construction teachers here? So this one, there's a lot of courses within this career cluster. Let's see if you can figure out what course this one was. When we asked reviewers what their main challenges were for this course area, a big one was organizing key content to fit in the time constraints of the course. Lots of skills, lots of information that you have to have in every single construction-based course, right? But then also how to balance lab hours with lecture hours. So many times in this course, you have to have a certain number of classroom hours and then hours hands-on in the lab. How do you balance that? And what are you even doing during lecture sometimes, right? Sometimes we know the skills that we want students to practice and it's easy to fill that time, but what do I need to cover to make sure that they're going to be prepared for that hands-on time? And then helping students build a strong work ethic and professionalism skills. That's important across every career area, right? And then encouraging students to consider construction careers. So we're not just doing this, but also to really think about this as being a career path moving forward, right? So this course area was construction principles. Believe it or not, we did not have a textbook for the very foundational course prior to this. We've had modern carpentry, we've had an early woodworking type course, but this course, Principles of Residential Construction, Essential Skills and Practices, will meet the needs for an introductory course to help students explore the wide variety of careers in the industry, and will offer step-by-step processes for construction of a residential home. This text is organized by the phases of construction with 9 chapters, which you see on the screen, that range from preparation to finishing and the punch list. This organization makes it easy to facilitate a course that coexists along a long-term project, whether those students are going to create a shed and they're going to do, put some plumbing in there, put some electrical in there, they're going to build the roof, to lab activities, to actually going off site and working at a residential job site. So this title will also offer a skill building lab workbook, which will have hands-on projects that go along with the chapters, because students retain what they've learned when they practice it, but they remember it even stronger when they can practice it immediately. So a lot of times in these foundational courses, we might spend a couple weeks, or publishers in general will have a chapter on safety, a chapter on math, a chapter on print reading. But it's almost like you got to get through that before you can get to the hands-on stuff. This is really designed so that students get those pieces of foundational knowledge that they need when they need it, alongside hands-on projects. So instead of spending those first few weeks going over all safety concerns or all mathematical calculations or identifying all the tools and materials you would use to create a home, students will receive that knowledge and skills when they need it for that phase of construction. So again, we do have a QR code here as well to be able to back order a sample. I want to note, we do have the chat available, and we do know your email address from registering. So if you want a sample of any of the 3 first editions we talked about today, counseling, mental health services, clinical and employability skills for health professions, or this Principles of Residential Construction, feel free to just put the name of that book in the chat, or say, I want a sample of the construction book, I want a sample of the health science book, or I want a sample of the counseling book, and we'll be able to get your name on that list. And we appreciate your time today. We'll send you that recording, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you, everybody. It was great talking to you.